everybody. I'm really excited about this Spark Studio. Today we're going to be talking a lot about how to front load the next month that's coming up, being where we are, and how to still have a finish to the month that we're in right now. So if you look at your calendar, we have almost 2 full weeks left of this month. Sales month, and that's when you really want to start looking at the next month as a business owner. You don't want to wait until the end of June to start thinking about July, because then you're going to be behind. So before we jump too far, we'll do that sharing at the end. So let's go right into this. Basically, this is the week in the sales month when you see, you know what's coming up for the first 2 weeks because you already have the sale brochure. So you already know what's on sale for the first 2 weeks of the following month. Usually a week ahead of time, if there's going to be any host offers, they would let you know that about a week before they start, or 2 weeks sometimes, depending on what it is. So in looking at the calendar, you want to really plan out how are you going to make this happen. So the first thing I want you guys to think about is your actual calendar. You have to look at your own personal stuff so that you can know where things are going to go. And I know this is something I've trained on many, many times, but I want to share my screen really quickly for those who are new to it or are watching this for the very first time and haven't seen it. I've got to pull up the correct thing. But basically, you always want to start with a blank calendar and then fill in your life. So the first thing you want to do is, here, let me pull up my calendar. So we're going to pretend this is a regular date book calendar, but this is actually the version. So this is a 3-week calendar, but this is what you would show your customers when you're getting ready. But it's a really good planning calendar too for yourself. And you're going to be able to use this calendar or any date book. So if you have a Tupperware calendar date book, if you use the Passion Planner, whatever it might be, you want to make sure that you have your dates planned. So I'm going to stop share really quickly so I can kind of explain. So the very first thing, if you have your calendar in front of you, is look at your own personal life from now and through the end of July. You always want to look a whole month out when you're sitting 2 weeks before the month starts. You want to look way out. Usually it's about a 6-week, 7-week time frame, depending on the month and where you're sitting. But you always want to have your whole following month planned at least by the middle of the month that you're in. So that means you want to write in any church responsibilities, any work responsibilities, any kids' school responsibilities. You want to put in there anything that is flexible. You might have in pencil. So like, let's say, I know like a hair appointment, or if you're going to go get a pedicure or whatever, those things are flexible. You can probably change it if you had to. Maybe put those things in pencil, but the things that you can't change, like your full-time job, put them in pen, right? So have that all written out. And I really, really love the Passion Planner or other planners that have a week at a glance, or the week at a glance, because then it has 30-minute intervals. So instead of filling a whole box with, I'm volunteering in the morning for something that fills your whole box, right? So then your whole day is filled. It only is the 3 hours that you're actually there. So that's the first thing that you want to do, is fill in your personal life. The second thing you want to do is fill in any Tupperware trainings that you're going to be able to get on. Like tonight, we have the Spark Studio. We have our area events here in the area in the next couple days as well. So which ones are you going to be attending? Put them in your calendar so that you're plugged in and getting trained. So have those in. And then the next thing you have to ask yourself is, how many parties do I want to be doing a week? And that's going to be a different question or a different answer from person to person. You know, you might say, gosh, I really want to make $1,400 a month. That's 2 parties a week. So when can I do them? I am so sorry, guys. Being pregnant makes me yawn a lot. And so when you watch this replay in a year or whatever, just forgive me. Because I just yawn a lot. And I'm not even sleepy. It's crazy. So, so you want to decide, okay, how many parties do I want to do, or how much money do I want to make? So it's about $125 per party. So if you're doing 2 parties a week, you're making $1,400. 1 party a week, you're making $600. And that party or event might look different for everybody. It might be a home party. It might be a home party with Facebook attached. It might be Facebook only. It might be a cooking class at a group event. I mean, there's lots of different things that it could be, but you want to make sure that you, if you're planning on doing 2, are you choosing 2 days a week that you can do that? And are you actually writing in your calendar whether or not you have a party that day? So looking at the next, all the way through the end of July, if you already know when you want to hold parties, it's going to be a lot easier to date those parties, right? So you won't have time on this call right this minute, but I want you to kind of look over your whole July and think, okay, on average, would I rather, am I free on Friday nights? And would I like to do parties on Friday nights? Or maybe is it on Saturday, or is it Thursdays, or is it Wednesdays? Okay, so everyone's schedule is going to look different. I personally do Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays, but you can pick and choose what works for you. And I don't have my water in here, so I'm going to be really yawning tonight because that usually keeps me from yawning. And then once you have planned out the days of the week that you want to party, and like I said, your life right now might mean you're doing Mondays and Wednesdays, and your life in 2 years or 6 months or 3 weeks might be Fridays and Saturdays. So it's kind of, or all Saturdays. So that might change, but you want to make sure that you have it planned. Even if you're starting today and you're looking at July, back it all the way up through June. If you want to be holding 2 parties a week in June, do you have 2 days this week that you could party potentially? We're going to talk more about why that's important. Even if you don't have parties, why it's important to have it in your calendar now. So then I want to talk about front loading your business, because when you're sitting with 2 weeks left to go in the month, you want to start kind of thinking about July, but you don't want to think about it too much because you'll lose focus on June. But if you don't focus at all on July, you won't have a strong start to July. And at every single party, how many parties should we be dating? Just hold up your fingers. 2, that's right. So at every single party, we should be dating 2 new parties so that our hosts get the most free Tupperware. So if we are sitting at a party this week and we date 2, they should be going into the end of June, beginning of July, not the end of July. Because if you date into the end of July, right, then you're not getting datings from those datings until August or September or the end of August, right? So you always want to date in close, and you want to have the first part of July filled before the end of July. But you want to have the end of June filled before the beginning of July. We'll get to that in a second. But if you're sitting here today, like let's say you're brand new, or let's say a bunch of parties canceled in the last 2 weeks. We all have life happen, right? And you just are sitting here with no parties, which yes, we can all have no, and I don't mean to say like maybe you really have no parties, but that doesn't mean you have no leads to get parties, right? And if you're sitting here and you're thinking I have no parties and you don't date any parties into June, you're again not going to date any parties into July, right? Because those parties that you would have dated from your June parties aren't getting put there. So you want to look at that first 2 weeks of July, or the month that's coming up, depending on what time of year you're looking at here. And you want to plan ahead and say, okay, because I had this party canceled tonight, or I don't have a party this week, that means I'm not going to get 2 datings to go into that first week of July. So how am I going to make sure that I have parties into the first 2 weeks of July? Whether that's get on the phone, call back a couple people, whatever. But you want to make sure you have a strong start, because one out of 5 parties usually cancel or rearrange. 1 out of 5. So if you have 4 parties dated the first 2 weeks, you're going to probably lose 1, which means you're down to 3. So you want to make sure that you're planning ahead and have enough parties in there. On top of which, parties that are dated really far out. So let's say we're here in June, on June 18th, and you go to a party and somebody's like, oh my gosh, I want to have a party, but I don't want to do it until the end of July. And they have no good reason other than they think they need to wait that long. Now, sometimes there's other circumstances. We know people go on vacation for long periods of time and whatever. So we have to look at those as special cases. But the ones that want to just date far out because they just think they don't have time are the ones who usually end up canceling or rearranging. Because what happens is they don't remember that they have something else going on at the same time. So they forget that there is baseball sign, or not baseball, I guess that's not summertime, but signups for the sports, or there's the sports physical day, or there's whatever. They get all these things that they find out about later. So when you date parties really far out, oftentimes you get cancellations and rearrangements. So that's why we always say date and close. And then that also helps you to get your schedule how you want it. So if you have your first 2 weeks of July filled and you date 2 parties at every single party, the last 2 weeks of July are going to be taken care of. Am I right? It'll just be taken care of. You don't have to worry about not having parties in because you already did the parties to fill it. Then you want to look at closing the month you're in strong, because if you focus too much on the following month, then what happens is the parties that you have up right now, or you lose sight of the parties maybe that you don't have up right now, and you then stop making money for a couple of weeks. And I don't know about you, but I need to make money every single week, right? We all do. So you want to close this month strong. So when you look at your calendar and you want to be holding 2 parties a week and you have it planned out all for July, look back at the next 2 weeks in June. Do you have all the party dates filled that you're wanting? And so if they're not filled, like let's say this week, today's Monday, and you really want to hold parties on Thursday and Friday, and you have no party on Thursday or Friday this week. And you're like, dang it, I don't have any parties. Oh, well, it's this week. Not much I can do about that. I'll just wait till next week, right? Well, if we don't get on the phone or date any parties into next week, will we have any parties dated for next week? No. And then it becomes this cycle where you keep having no parties, right? But if today you said to yourself, okay, I want to have a party on Thursday and Friday, every Thursday and Friday, and this week I do not have a party on Thursday or Friday, what can I do to fill those spots and get on the phone and start working that, and get on Facebook and just start posting these things? What will happen is you might not get a party dated for this Thursday or Friday, but you might get a couple parties dated for the following Thursday or Friday because you got on the phone with a focus, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is, do you have a sales goal? Have you thought about how much you want to sell for the month that you're in? And what else do you need yet to achieve that goal? So for example, maybe you want to reach the $600 in personal sales for sure, to get your scratcher, your first scratcher. Maybe you want to have $1,500 to get the 5% bonus. Maybe you want to earn the rest of the gifts that are being offered for this week and the next week. Maybe you want to step up to leadership and get that next percentage. Whatever it is, if you have a goal in mind, we still have 2 weeks left and it's not over till it's over. And so are you giving up, like kind of conceding, like, oh, well, there's only 2 weeks left, not much more I can do. I have no party, so oh well. Or are you going after and giving it all you've got for the next 2 weeks? It's absolutely possible. So looking at that, you want to look at your goal and you want to say, okay, how many parties or activities would I need to do to reach that goal? Okay, so let's say you want to reach $1,500 in sales to get your bonus. And today, as of today, you have $0 in sales. Okay, and I like to use this example because $1,500 is great money. 1,500, let's just do the math here, 25%. That's $375 that you're making profit, plus you get a $50 bonus. So you're making $425 in the next 2 weeks. I don't know about you, but $425 in the next 2 weeks sounds pretty amazing, right? So $425, so $1,500, our average standard party is $500. So that's 3 parties or activities in the next 2 weeks to make $425, right? Now, I want to ask you guys a question, because a lot of people tell me, oh, there's no parties, there's nobody out there, it's so hard to date a party, no one online wants to order, whatever, right? And if I told you that I had $1 million cash stacked up in your living room for you, if you went out and dated 3 Tupperware parties today, I will have $1 million in your living room stacked up in cash. And all you have to do is go find 3 people to hold Tupperware parties for you in the next 2 weeks, would you be able to find 3 parties? Yeah, I see you guys saying yes. Because if there was $1 million on the line in your living room, you'd go out and find 3 parties. You would do everything it takes. You would sell all $1,500 to complete strangers if you knew you were getting $1 million at the end of the day. And I think it's not so much that sometimes we think that there isn't parties available. It's that we don't do the work to do it. Okay. So sometimes that can happen, right? Where we just say, oh, well, there's no parties, or, oh, nobody wants to, or everyone I've talked to isn't interested. But maybe you've only talked to 3 people. But if you knew there was $1 million on the line, you'd probably talk to everyone. And you wouldn't care how silly you sounded, and you wouldn't care what happened because you're getting $1 million at the end. And sometimes we need to treat our $425 that we're making in profit for that 3 parties the same way we would $1 million. Because a lot of us need that $425 just as badly as we need $1 million, right? So definitely keep that in your mind when you are getting ready to date parties. So if you know what it takes 3 to do the 1,500 and make the extra bonus, what could you do? What kind of activity or party could you pull in 2 weeks, right? If you're sitting here, okay, I have no parties, but gosh, I really would like to make $425 in the next 2 weeks. How do I do that? Okay, so again, first of all, you have to look at your calendar. When are you willing to do Tupperware activities? Are you willing to come to an event that we're already providing? Like this Tuesday, we're doing a summer abundance cooking class. This Thursday, we're doing one, and next Thursday. So you'll have 3 opportunities in the next 2 weeks to bring people to an event. Are you asking people to come with their 3 best friends and $150 in orders, or collecting outside orders, letting them be a host? Are you thinking about how can I do an instant party? Have you heard of an instant party? Instant parties are one of my favorite things, and you can pull it together in an instant, right? A lot of people, when you're getting together with friends or family or whatever, it's totally on the spur of the moment. Today, I decided out of the blue, my sister's in town, and I decided out of the blue I was going to have my dad over for dinner. So I texted him and said, hey, you want to come over for dinner because she's in town? Yep. Text my aunt and my grandma and said, hey, you guys want to join us too? Yep. It took, within 10 minutes, we had a party of 12. And it was all done today. So it's not planned ahead. I didn't have a menu planned ahead. We just made it happen. And I think sometimes we think that a Tupperware party needs to be this big ordeal. But really, it's just gathering of a couple of friends. So could you call up somebody and say, hey, what are you doing on Friday night? Oh, nothing? Great. Come on over. Or what if I came over and cooked you and your couple of your best friends a little recipe or dinner? I want to practice on you. I want to do a little survey and see what you think of our Fridge Smart products. So you can easily pull together an instant event, Tupperware party per se. They can still collect outside orders. They can still have their friends come. You can still date parties. You can still do a demo, but you're just doing it quick and easy and not making a big deal about it. And they feel at ease and relaxed. They don't have to clean their house from top to bottom. So that's one way you can do an instant Tupperware party. Another way is anybody who won't do a home party, maybe ask them to collect outside orders and then meet you at Starbucks with their 2 best friends to close out the orders. And then their friends are going to come with them and help them shop for their free stuff. And you're going to be able to bring a basket full of maybe 4 or 5 pieces of Tupperware that you're going to tell them a couple of things about so they get excited about the product and maybe want to date a party. Another thing you can do is to pull in a quick kind of instant event is, oh, and my pregnant brain is kicking because there was a third one that I was like, oh yeah, I got to tell them about that idea. Now I forgot, so I'll come back to it. And it's not in my notes because I just thought of it. Well, you could do it to sell 10 sets. It's not an event, but you could sell 10 sets. Like right now we have our fabulous water bottle set. How many of those could you sell? And the big set, that's the 36 bottles, is 6 people each ordering one of the small sets at a discounted rate, right? because the small set's already there. So if you find, like, I just had somebody message me on Facebook Saturday and say, oh, I want one of those sets. And I said, if you find 5 friends to do it with you, you're going to get a better price. And so she's like, okay, what do I do? And I said, tell all your friends about the sale and have them order it with you. You're going to get a better price. She was so excited. So are you kind of offering those extra opportunities when you have them, or are you just taking the one order, right? How are you handling that? And then really looking at what is that little extra bit? Oh my goodness, this is my other idea that I remembered was lunchtime parties. Hey guys, could you, if you aren't available in the evenings or as available, could you pop in at someone's work with a basket of ingredients for salsa and do it on their lunch hour and collect orders that way? Could you do a survey party like we talked about on the first Spark Studio? The recording's posted, so you can definitely go back and watch it. There are so many ways that you can just pull together quick, small, easy activities to still have great sales going on in the next 2 weeks. You do not have to give up and say, oh, well, there's only 2 weeks left, right? You can go out and make it happen still. And 3 parties puts an extra bonus in your pocket. $1,500 is where it's at. $1,500 in sales is going to put $425 in your pocket by the end of next week. Can you all say yes? Oh my gosh, yes, right? And again, it's not over till it's over. So let's say you get on the phone today and you have really great success dating a couple of things, or maybe you get nobody who says yes. Don't give up. Keep going. I think the easiest thing for us to do in this business is to give up. That is the easiest thing. It's just to throw in the towel and say, forget it. You know what? It didn't work. Those people said no. I'm just going to give up. And I don't think we say I want to give up. I think we just kind of don't try anymore, right? And the most important thing is to not. In this business, we have to keep trying and keep going after it, because you're going to hear no a lot. And you have to get used to the no word. It means new opportunity. Who's next? There's so many people out there who haven't seen Tupperware in a very, very long time who want it. And if we don't tell them about it, how are they ever going to find it and know it? That it can save them time and save them money. Tonight, let me just give you a picture of what I did. I did a 6 hour, it was supposed to be closer to 8 hours, but I made it work in 6 hours, thank God. 6 hour ribs. I've never done it in my entire life on our grill, okay, smoker grill. So 6 hours of that. On top of that, I made grilled potatoes, roasted potatoes and veggies in my oven. I made chicken for the kids who won't eat ribs in my Micro Pro grill. And I made, we had root beer floats for dessert, and we had ice cream scoop for that. But had I tried to do that without my Tupperware silicone Wonder Mats for all of my grilled veggies so they wouldn't stick, and all of the tools, my grandma came in and she said, wow, Tupperware really makes it easy to cook dinner, doesn't it? And I said, yeah, I mean, I pulled together a meal for 12 people. And now granted, I started around noon to make sure I had my ribs started, because that was already a plan. Yesterday, we were going to have ribs today. So I knew that those had to be thawed, and I was ready to go for that. But I had never made it before, and I totally flubbed up the recipe. They still turned out good. But everything else was things that were quick and easy and done in 30 minutes or less. Oh, we also did corn on the cob, 12 years of corn on the cob on the stovetop. So I had all these things going, but had I tried to grill my chicken with my veggies or with my potatoes or with my ribs, I would have ended up with burnt chicken. Instead, it was in my Micro Pro grill in just a few minutes. I was able to have every kind of vegetable that all the kids would eat, because I was able to do in separate different things. I'm telling you guys, it saves people so much time. Oh, and the only thing I had to run to the grocery store for was the fresh corn on the cob, because I didn't have any. Everything else I had in my house, and it was all things that I was like kind of piecing together, because we only had a few potatoes left. So I thought, okay, how can we make potatoes bigger, right? So I had 3 halves of red, yellow, and orange bell pepper. So I threw that in there, and a half a onion. And I thought, okay, the adults will eat that, but not the kids. So being able to be creative, and all of those veggies have been in Tupperware for weeks, probably 3-4 weeks, completely fresh, preserved in our fridge smart. And that's why I love what I do, because I can share with other people how they can save time and money in the kitchen and be able to make, whether it's a big or elaborate meal like I did tonight, or a super quick, easy meal, your food is going to be fresh on hand, right? And you're going to be able to serve it quickly and easily to your family and friends. And that's why I love sharing this. So do you have a passion that you're excited about that you can share with people? Because if you're passionate about something in this business, you're going to be able to go out and offer it to anybody and have a quick instant party right here, right now in the next couple of days. And like I said, 3 standard parties puts that $425 in your pocket. Could you do 3 this week? Yes. Could you do 3 next week? Yes. Could you do 3 in the 2 weeks? Yes. However you want to do it. So it's not over until it's over. And I want to leave you guys with a quick focus for this week. 1, a little homework, okay? Now, because you guys are watching this, whether you're watching this live or you're watching this post-play, if you're watching the replay, I mean, and it is still June of 2018. If you're watching this in June of 2018 and you do this homework, you're going to be able to earn an extra scratcher for our scratcher game that we're doing this month. But you have to snap a picture of it and you have to send it to me. And so here's your homework. 1, you need to look all the way out through the end of July and write in your calendar, your personal stuff you've got going on, any trainings you're going to be a part of or events with Tupperware, and all of your party days, when you want to hold Tupperware parties. So that needs to be planned out. And you can print out blank calendars, or you can just use your regular date book and snap a picture of that. But you've got to plan your calendar, because the only way you are successful in this business is if you plan. Okay, so that's the first thing. It doesn't happen by accident. Sometimes we get lucky, but most of the time it comes from good planning. Second thing is to think about what your goal is. What's your mission for July? How much money do you want to make? Put that down. How much money do you want to make in the next 2 weeks at the end of June? And then if you haven't already update your contact list. And who are you going to invite to one of the next events, or who are you going to ask? And you need to have a lot, because every 10 no, every 10 times you hear the word no, you're going to get 1 yes. So if you only have 5 people you're calling, it's going to be real hard to get a yes. If you have 25 people you're calling, you're probably going to end up with 2 yeses. Okay? So you have to play the numbers game. And yes, it is a numbers game in this business. And yes, sometimes it's frustrating to get on the phone and hear no. And yes, will you hear no from somebody and then 2 months later hear yes from them, or yes from them now and no from them later? Yes, and that's okay. That's what this business is about, okay? It's just out there sharing it. So then the last challenge is work on 1 day this week that you could pull in an instant event. Do you have a day this week that you could do an instant event? And who are the people that you're going to contact to be a part of that? Are you going to invite one person to be a host? Are you going to do it at your house and invite people to come to you and they can be a mystery host? What are you going to do for that one instant event? Okay. And when you send me in your homework, and you can watch a replay in case you didn't get that all written down, when you text it to me within the next 24 hours, okay, you only have 24 hours to complete your homework from the time you've watched this. And I know who's on right now. And I can see who watches the replay. So I know when you've watched it. So you have 24 hours to get it back to me. Then you're going to get a scratcher. Okay. So I'm super excited. I'm going to end the recording.